This is my first YouTube video, basically. It's actually gonna be something. I'm gonna start out with fantasy football content and probably basketball off-season talk when it gets closer, which they did probably move the season to closer in start of January now, maybe December. Getting works into it, but first we're gonna talk about fantasy football trade targets. Probably Juju Smith-Schuster because the Steelers, obviously the defense helps them a lot, but Steelers are a good team. They're gonna keep winning games. You probably want Juju. He's gonna keep going. He's had some bad weeks, but he will probably have a good outcome. Next one, CeeDee Lamb. He gets a lot of targets. Even with Andy Dalton, he's had 10 targets in 3 of the games. You probably want to get him on your lineup. He could be more consistent than Amari Cooper because he's the wide receiver too, kind of the slot. Depends on the game, but. And then you got DeAndre Swift, Antonio Gibson. They're both on bad teams, but they're young. So you know that they want to work him into the offense, but they haven't yet. And they will work him more in. J.D. McKissick has never been that good in the NFL. He will lose his spot. Antonio Gibson will take that spot. And DeAndre Swift, they don't want to use AP. They don't want to. Maybe they want to use him right now to get DeAndre Swift settled in, but they did not use a second round pick for a player to sit behind AP, who's been in the league for 17 years. They want the new running back who's going to be their future. That's obvious. And then there's Austin Eckler, Nick Chubb. If you're sitting in a good position, 4-2, 5-1, 6-0, any of those, even if you're feeling risky, 3-3, and you've lost some tough games, but your team is still pretty solid, might as well invest. Austin Eckler a lot better for PPR because he's basically like a wide receiver too. He's getting so much targets. That's just how the Chargers like to use him. And Terry McLaurin has the second most air yards, so you might as well invest in him. Yes, the Washington football team isn't good, but they're always down. They're going to be thrown deep, and Terry McLaurin is a serious talent. Put him on a better team, he'd be a lot better, I'm telling you. Waivers or sleepers. You got Tim Patrick. He's been getting a lot of targets for the Broncos. Their offense is up and coming. Drew Lock is back and going. Everybody's so hyped on Drew Lock. He's back. Demarcus Robinson, Sammy Watkins, yes, he was out, but Demarcus Robinson has serious talent, and Patrick Mahomes saw it last game. He got a lot more targets, even though Clyde Edwards was eating on the running game. That's half their game was. Demarcus Robinson had a good game. And then if you're looking for some deeper running backs when your schedule's good, you could probably go La'Mical Perine because Frank Gore, same thing with AP. They don't want him for that long. The Jets' offensive line isn't that good, but if they're playing bad teams, you could use him. Maybe just keep him on the bench just to see if you have an open roster spot. But I'd rather have J.K. Dobbins. He got picked in the second round. They want to use him, obviously. J.K. Dobbins is a good talent. They're more of a running team because Lamar is not the best passer. He's decent. He's an MVP. He can pass, but he's not the greatest passer. That's not their offense. Their offense is read options, and they're going to watch Lamar more, so the running back's going to eat, and you already know what I mean. J.K. Dobbins is a good talent. He'll be there when they get rid of the committee. I could not tell you exactly if it's going to work out for J.K. Dobbins, but if you have an open roster spot, why not take the risk? And then there's that Richard Rodgers, who just showed out on Thursday. He's pretty solid. Both tight ends are injured. Yes, Gal Stoddard would come back. Zach Ertz would come back. Richard Rodgers proves himself. You never know. For right now, he's a decent filler. Darren Fells is a filler maybe for the whole year. Texans offense got better without Bill O'Brien. And Atlanta Falcons offense got better without the coach. The Jets offense will probably get better if they fucking fire Adam Gase, but I don't think they're gonna because they're tanking at this point to get the first pick. So Darren Fells has obviously been getting more production. Deshaun Watson's been better. The offense has been better. If you need a filler QB because Dak or injuries, Joe Burrow, Gardner Minshew, Justin Herbert, any of them. Justin Herbert might not be there. Gardner Minshew might not be there, but Joe Burrow will for sure be there. Yes, the Bengals aren't good, but Joe Burrow is pretty solid, and he's passing a lot because they are losing most games, other than the last game because somehow they started out well and just pooped all over the field at the end. And then if you're looking for trade ideas, if you have a stacked bench with extra running backs or wide receivers, if a team is needing, or they're low and they're 1-5 or 2-4, and they're looking to make a trade and upgrade positions, if they have a low wide receiver 1 or running back 1, you could make a trade and send a bench player in your flex or starting running back 2 or wide receiver 2 and send them for a package deal of 2 first 1. You might be losing out in the value part, but if your team is good enough and you have already a good season, you can make the trade. You can make the trade. If you have enough depth that you can fill in, you can make the trade to make a better flex, make a better running back too. and maybe take a little blow on your bench because your bench is there just to help you on bye weeks. And what I like to do is sketch out what your team will look like in every week. Look at the bye weeks, look at what you have. If you have enough depth, then maybe you need to have some random flex fillers and you take a waiver slide, you can do it. If you're feeling risky and you know the waivers, you can watch some videos, look at the sleepers of the week, waiver pickups, and if you really need like a tight end, send someone like an average tight end. And then like a wide receiver too, or like a low running back too. If they need the depth and their team got killed by injuries or bye weeks, they might take the trade if they're feeling risky. You're probably not gonna get Kittle or Kelsey, but like you never know. And then if you have like two wide receivers, you could and two wide receivers, maybe one's a high wide receiver two, one's a low wide receiver two on your bench. You could send for a low wide receiver one if they really need it. Like if they were killing with wide receivers, and they only have like two solid wide receivers, and they need to flex or bye weeks or injuries, anything, you can make that trade happen. If I'm looking for a wide receiver to sell though, it's Mike Evans. And I'm also for like a buy low. He's not really that much of a buy low, but Jonathan Taylor's playoff schedule is nuts. His snap count has been going higher. Look for Jonathan Taylor at the moment. Kenyon Drake's also a sell high. He's probably not going to do that again. We've noticed that. Maybe he'll do something again, and then we'll all be surprised. But at this moment, I don't think he's going to do it again. Really nice matchup with how bad the Cowboys were playing. He was getting touches. The Cowboys' defense had been one of the worst in the league, giving good field position on fumbles and picks. Everything was working out for him. D-Hop didn't have a good game. D-Hop's always going to have a good game most times. So if D-Hop's having a good game, Kenyon Drake's not going to be as much in that offense. And then if you're looking to make like another window to invest in someone like a boom or bust player, but you feel like they have the schedule or they have the potential where they're getting targets or snap shares, if you invest them at the right time before they're going to break off. And same thing with Jonathan Taylor, playoff schedule. It's like you say if you think you're going to make the playoffs, your team is good enough, you can make a trade for someone who's going to have a good playoff schedule or is going to blow up in the playoffs. Like someone that isn't valued as much, but they'll be valued back later on. And then there's Joe Mixon, his second half of the season last year. It's going to happen this year probably. They get him more involved because they realize we're not going to win that much games. Might as well use our star running back, get him involved. No reason to make a rookie QB throw 50 times a game. Obviously, I'd like to see him develop, but you don't want to see him getting hit all those times and maybe getting injured. And then if you're hearing good news from like a coach about a player about to get more developed in offense, reports, and like recent injuries like Miles Sanders, any of those guys, Raheem Mostert if you really wanted to, injuries on running backs make their value lower. You can make a better trade. If your team is good enough and you can wait those 2 weeks and maybe take 1 or 2 losses out of those 3 weeks, make the trade if you think you're going to make the playoffs. It's going to help you in the long run because all you care about is the playoffs. All you have to do is make the playoffs. It doesn't matter what your record is. It doesn't matter how good your team was in regular season. If your team is good in the playoffs, you can win the playoffs. It's random. It's luck. It's week by week. Yes, people can have crazy teams and they're probably going to win the playoffs, but you really never know. It's like Derrick Henry last year dropping 45. It's like Le'Veon Bell one year dropping 45. Random players blow up in that team. It's like David Johnson in 2017 or whatever, 18 when he was Falcon, when he was good on the Cardinals. He dropped like 40. Won a lot of people fantasy matchups. Invest in those players you think will do that in the playoffs, even if they're injured right now, because you have trust in them. And one last thing when you're making trades, always look at the trade value chart or look at articles on who they think buy low. If you don't trust me, obviously, because not much people probably will see this. I don't have much subs. Obviously, I'm trying to gain them. Honest, only my friends will probably see this, even if they take time out of their day, which they probably won't. But if you need help making trades, contact a friend. Probably not in your league, and if they're in your league, they're good at trades and they'll help you out because you guys are close friends. Look at the trade value chart. Look at buy low, sell highs, sleepers, upcoming news on fantasy, soon to be stars, playoff breakouts. There's a lot of articles you can basically read. Anything helps with fantasy. Like the research is one of the biggest things because a lot of people don't want to do the research. They just join a league and set their team. They don't really make acquisitions or trades because they don't want to risk it. But trading sometimes can help you. Obviously, sometimes it's going to hurt you because you take a risk on something. But a lot of times, if you feel confident in those players and you have some depth, trades will most time help you. You just have to be confident and know fantasy football. Because fantasy football, yeah, it's luck, but at the same time, it takes research and it takes you knowing what could maybe happen. Sometimes it might not work out, but a lot of times It could work out, and the risk-reward factor is always going to happen in basically anything. So send it, and make sure to sub on this account. I know you probably won't because this fucking video sucked, but might as well. And if you have any idea, need any tips or suggestions, DM me in my description below my Instagram, or text me if you're a friend. You probably won't text me, but this is the first official video. I hope you enjoyed. Go Jets.